Well, greetings, people of the internet. Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today we're going to play with that Lenovo server that Lenovo sent us. Yeah, who else would have sent it to us? Yeah. So if you've been paying any attention, you know that Lenovo graciously loaned us one of their high-end servers, and it's sitting next to me here on a chair right now because I've got the card in use for something else. But anyway, I digress. Today we're going to put Proxmox on there, and I'm going to show you one of the reasons I don't completely trust Proxmox yet. Because you're going to see in this video what happened to me. So let's go ahead and get it started. I'm just going to let you know this is going to be a bit of a longer, more in-depth video. And then we'll talk about this server and Proxmox on the other side. So we're over on the xClarity controller for the wonderful Lenovo on loan to us. Thanks again, Lenovo. And today we're going to try and get Proxmox installed on it and see if it's going to be simple or complicated. So I'm going to launch a remote console. We're running under Windows 11 here. And I am going to go ahead and power on the system. So we'll come here to power and power it on. And it's quite likely it might get a little loud in here. Huh? Thought I told it to power on the server. There we go. Now it's been powered on. Fans are going to kick up a little bit, and then we'll need to be ready to... Yeah, the fans will kick up just a little bit. Now keep in mind, this is not in its environment, so it should be in a rack, in a room, in a rack. Not next to my... Not sitting 5 feet behind my desk. So, all right, so we'll hit F12 for a one-time boot device, and then we'll wait. Now, I did change some hardware around, but I've rebooted since I changed that hardware, so hopefully this post won't take as long. All right, I think we might be closer to an actual boot. There we go. So we're going to come all the way down, and we're going to choose the UEFI Kingston Traveler and hit enter. And that's the Proxmox USB key. We're going to install Proxmox, and I'm running this is 7.1 ISO release 2. I'm getting some errors when I boot up here, but that's not it doesn't necessarily mean there's a problem, so we'll see. It looks like it's actually getting an IP from a DHCP server, so yeah, and it's getting 5.64. It looks like is the IP, so that's good. So we should be able to agree to the EULA, and I do suggest you read it. And I should only have 3 drives available. Good. So I want it on dev NVMe 0N1. And we're going to pick Chicago. And we're going to put in a super secret password. Okay, so we're going to, let's see what kind of network cards we have. Okay, I'm going to use this one here. This looks like the first of 4 of the SFP Plus connectors I have on that card. They're all Broadcom. And I think this one here is for the management. So we'll choose this. We're going to choose Lenovo. Hello. We're going to pick Lenovo.ujp.local. Way we know what it is. We'll let it get the IP address of 64. That's fine. Everything else looks good. Click on next. I do not want it to automatically reboot, but we will let it install. The install should be pretty fast. We're going from the USB 2 to an NVMe drive, so I'm not doing this via remote media. I like to avoid that if at all possible. Alright, so it should be in the final stages of installation, I'm hoping. And there we go. So now it's telling us we need to go ahead and reboot and then point our IP to, or point our browser to 5.64 port 8006. And I would recommend you write this down in case you're forgetful like I am. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose reboot. And I'm hoping that I don't have to eject the USB, and we shall see if it'll reboot. Alright, so hopefully, yep, looks like it's going to boot into Proxmox now. That was relatively quick. So we'll just let it boot up here, see if we get any error messages. The TPM is giving me a little cause for concern, but we'll see what happens once we get into the actual unit running. Okay, and it says it's ready, so I guess now we'll try to log into it. And so here we are, booted into Proxmox, and yeah, it's looking okay. I don't know why Proxmox is filling the screen the way it is, but that's yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it. So let's come down here and let's do our updates first. We're going to go ahead and refresh, even though we don't have a valid subscription. We'll be able to get critical updates here, should be able to. And we want to get those first, so. Okay, so we should be able to close that, and then it should load the updates. And we're going to go ahead and get all these installed. So we're going to go here and click on upgrade. And it's going to want to consume some additional disk space. We'll tell it yes. And we'll let this run. It's quite a, there's quite less to install than Windows, if I can form my words correctly. There's quite a lot less to do if you're not running Windows on these servers. It does take a while to get Windows installed and updated and configured, and you know, I will give Proxmox credit for that. Now it's generating new boot images. So people say you don't have to reboot after an update. Yes, you do. I'm just saying it. People can laugh at me or make fun or tell me I'm crazy, but yes, always update or always reboot after an update. It just will save you so much trouble. Possibly. Allegedly. Okay, I'm just going to exit out of here and close this, and then we'll refresh. And there are ways to get rid of that nag. We'll cover that in the future in a, you know, in another event. And then there you go. There they all are. So I'm going to go ahead and reboot, though, just to be safe. And so we'll let that reboot and we'll come back. All right, so it's odd. I had a reboot, and I don't remember rebooting it, but it's running now. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing configured so we can start running some virtual machines and do some testing on here. So what we're going to do is come up here to the data center. We're going to come up to add under storage, and we're going to add a Smb share for the ISOs on my network. So the IP address of that server is 168.5.3. And we're going to log in as Adama. Now, I've created this is my general admin user. You should create a task-specific user. If all they need to do is read files off your network, create a user with read permission only, give them read permission to that share, and be done with it. This is not best practice what I'm doing. So, and then you're going to put your share name in here, and if you've typed everything in else incorrectly, you should be able to point it to the share. And then come up here and tell it it's ISO images, but take the disk images off. And then click on add. And then you should have access to the ISO share on your network, and we should see the ISO images here as well. Good. Now we're going to do that with another storage. We're going to add some NFS storage on here. So we're going to call this FS 1018 because that's where it connects to. That IP address is 168.5.17. And we're going to be exporting Volume 1 NFS1. That's going to contain disk images, but it's also going to contain VZ dump backup files. We're going to enable it, and we're going to click on add. Okay, so the reason we're getting this error is because I need to go give the IP address of this machine, this Lenovo, the 5.64, I need to give it access to that share. And I bet you, yep, it just rebooted. So, I got something very interesting, always interesting here at Unky Joe's Playhouse happening. I'll let you go in and look at the events. Now, what I did was installed Proxmox 7.1 and then did the updates. And ever since I've done the updates, I've been getting the machine will boot up, it'll run, and for about 3 minutes, and then it'll power off. You can see here it came up and it ran for about 5 minutes, and then it powered off. Came up here, it ran for about 4 minutes and powered off after getting a software NMI error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install Proxmox 7.1 and not do the updates and let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes and see if it's still rebooting. All right, well, look, after loading it from scratch, it's been up for about 9 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and reconnect my ISO. I'll run you through how that's done again. So you just come up to the data center, go to storage, go to add. And since I store my ISO on a CIFS share, I'm just going to point to that server using the IP address because it's easier. And then we explained what user to use. Create a user with as low a level of security as possible that can read that share rather than giving them admin access. So ISO, and this is going to be ISO images, no disk images. And click on add. And then we need to add the NFS share. So I'm going to log into my Synology Flash Station and make sure that this NFS share has permissions. Let's see, shared folder. So we go to the NFS, go to edit, and make sure under permissions, NFS permissions, that we have the IP address of the Proxmox server in there. I think that's 64. Read write should be good. Let's save it. All right. So let's go back to Proxmox now, and this time we'll add a NFS share, and we'll call that the FS-1018. This IP is 5.17, and that export is, it should bring up the volume name. That's going to contain disk images and backup files. I'm going to click on add, and it looks like we were successful. So now I have the ability to go out and look at the files on there. I've got backups. There's VMs that I've created. There's VM disks. And here's the ISO files and ISO images located on my Synology NAS. And we're going to see if the system stays up and remains stable without rebooting now. So I'm just going to kind of let it sit here for a little while. And we'll give it, let's give it 10 minutes. So we'll come back when it's been up a total of 30 minutes, and we will then try to create some virtual machines. All right, well, here we are, half an hour later, and you can see it's been up for 30 minutes, 39 seconds. It appears to be working. Now, what haven't I done? I have not done the updates. Another good question is, how do you back up your install of Proxmox? Good question, because I'm afraid once I do these updates that it's going to break Proxmox again. So let's refresh. So what could have possibly crashed this thing? Let's see, what all is here? Could be, yeah, it could be any one of these modules. So if I upgrade, I'm afraid it's going to cause the server to crash again. And then we'll have something to share with the folks at Proxmox. Although these are more Debian updates than they are anything. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and upgrade them. And we'll see what happens. So it looks like it wrote a new kernel last time, so it looks like it's probably going to do that again. Not necessarily a new kernel, but a new loader, so. Yeah, there's a new image, 5.13.19 underscore, or -2 -PVE. All right, well. So if this crashes Proxmox, then we're going to come back and have a little conversation. Certainly hope it doesn't. Maybe it was just a glitch. All right, so let me log out of there. And let me refresh. Okay, there should be no more updates showing. Okay, good enough. All right, so let's go ahead and reboot. And we'll see if it survives a reboot and how long it stays up after that reboot. So, yeah, so here we are, 3 hours, almost 3 hours later. I went ahead and went to dinner, left it running. I had to get out of this room because I just couldn't stand the whine of the machine anymore. I'm going to have to move this machine into the other room while I'm working on it because it's about to drive me insane. And that's no fault of Lenovo's. That's just poor thinking on my part. So I'll move it into the other room where I have a network connection. I can move the fiber out there. I can unhook it from in here and move it out there temporarily. Or I'll just run on gigabit Ethernet, one of the two, because it's driving me insane. But anyway, it's up and running. I don't know. I did nothing different this time than I did the first time, except that I attached my storage directories on here before I did the updates. But yeah, the updates have been done, so there's nothing else available. I'll just refresh. There has not been a single unexpected shutdown on this machine, but I am going to go ahead and shut it down now because, like I said, the noise is driving me insane. Now that's not actually going to shut it. It'll shut it down, but it's not going to get any more quiet. I need to log on to this. Well, I don't need to. Yeah, okay. So now it's shut down the server. So now what I'm going to do, boys and girls, is something I've been waiting all day to do. I'm going to yank the power cords. 1, 2. Oh my God in heaven above. Silence is truly golden. If you'd been, oh, it's just so peaceful. Immediately, it's just so peaceful in here. Oh. Yeah, so there's that. So I'm sure I'll have more videos with Proxmox on this Lenovo, but I just want to kind of share with you what my experience has been so far. And this is what makes me worry a little bit about Proxmox. This has happened to me before when I first started using Proxmox, but we'll talk more about it in an upcoming episode. So if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you'll know that there is a rule. If you want to break it, give it to Unky Joe and he'll break it. And evidently I was able to do that with Proxmox. Now, mind you, that happened one time. And as you're bearing witness, it didn't happen again. So I don't know what combination of events I did that made my made Proxmox start crashing that server. But I've kept, the event logs are on the server, and I may turn them over to the folks at Proxmox or Lenovo. I don't know whether it was a glitch, just a odd set of circumstances that happened, or whether it was, indicative of a bigger problem. So it's, like they say, it's above my pay grade. Now, the other thing I did on this server was I took out one of the NVMe SSD drives, and that's the one I have my Windows install on, and that way I can jump back and forth between Proxmox, Windows, and whatnot. Now, the other thing I'm probably going to be doing on this server is installing VMware, but I really want to play around with Proxmox a bit more on this server and just kind of put it through its paces. So that's a lot of power on this server. Now, Lenovo was also gracious enough to send me a couple of riser cards for this server that I've installed. And I want to put, video cards in them and start playing around with pass-through on Proxmox. I want to do the same thing with VMware, just to give you an idea of how flexible these servers are. So I only have this server for a limited amount of time, so I want to play with it as much as I can. So yeah, we'll be doing some more videos on it. If you have a suggestion, I'm toying with the idea of putting Unraid on it. I want to contact the folks at Unraid and see if they'll give me maybe a temporary license key to where I can run it on there for more than 15 days. But I'm considering it. I think that would make for an interesting install. What do you think? So there you go. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. If you have some ideas of what you'd like to see me do with this Lenovo server, just leave your comments down in the comments section. Give us a thumbs up down below if you liked it. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and click that notification bell to be notified of new videos when they come out. Donate if you're so inclined. PayPal, Patreon, the YouTube join function. One of the added benefits of joining us with a membership and supporting the channel, you'll get to be at our Discord, be on our Discord server and be in the after party after we do our live streams on Saturday, that kind of thing. So you get some added benefits. So again, we hope you enjoyed it. Please come back and see us again. And don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side.